this computer.
Okay.
Okay, it's official.
Okay.
Okay. It's January 22nd, 2024. I'm Pat McPherson. I'm here with my colleague Susan Creighton, and we're talking on Zoom with Tom Kruskal, who is at his home in Sudbury, Massachusetts. We are talking to Tom today about his role as the instigator of a lot of teen teams, starting in Sudbury, I guess at your local church, and taking those teams eventually to the Marlboro Ale. Susan, do you want to say something so we can identify your voice?
Sure. I'm Susan Creighton, working with Pat McPherson on this interview with Tom.
And Tom?
I'm Tom Kruskal here.
Well, there you go. The interview will be part of the Marlboro Morris Ale Archive and will reside at the Vermont Folklife Center, which is now in Burlington, Vermont. Okay, so this is the second time we've talked to Tom, and today we're going to be talking about the kids' teams that Tom started. And when was it that you first had this compulsion of interest
Right.
in working with kids on Morris dancing?
So this all started when my daughter Lily was in Christmas revels at Sanders Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I think she was perhaps 8 or 9. And she was, Revels does these family groups, the way they organize their um, staging, blocking. And so Jack Langstaff was her father in this blocking. So to make a long story short, it was the most important event in her life to date, this experience, which is not uncommon. I have a kid dancing with me right now who did Revels this year, Jacob, and it's the same thing for him. Totally. Doing that children Revels thing was like, anyway, so we were at that point going to the Unitarian Church in Sudbury, and so I asked Lily if she wanted to try doing something with. Back then, there was actually quite a few kids in the RE program there, so we decided to do a. It must have been the next year. We decided to do a revelry show thing at church, so we did that. Morris dancing and singing, and it just kept going. So that was the first group that got named Hopbrook Morris, and it's, it's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders.
That's how Hopbrook started. Okay.
Yep. And so that was, well, Lily's 44, and that started
Really?
when she was 9. So Hopbrook is about almost 35 years old. So
I'm a little interested in the context of the church because the revels are celebrating the coming of the light, which is sort of a pagan thing.
right.
And it's just interesting that it was totally okay for your church to have this reveling within its context. Did you ever think of that?
Sure. I mean, more than okay. I mean, they loved it. They've embraced Morris dancing, and Morris dancing's now official part of the RE program at First Parish. We have pagans in our we have a pagan group, so that was part of it.
Probably part of the Unitarianism.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So, um, yeah, no, what was I going to say? Something. So, I would say every year when we do the service, there's a part at the beginning where we talk about why we are doing this service in our church. So, there's a lot of reasons why, of course, that celebrating um, the coming of the light and is cross-cultural, cross-religions, and this is one way we do it. And we've used all kinds of. Now this year we did a Native American version of our members' play
Wow.
that was written by one of our members. David Fleischman's dad actually wrote this play a long time ago.
I like it.
So,
So there you are with reveling
yep,
at your local church, with the full support of the congregation and within the context of being Unitarian. And how many kids did you start with?
well, let's see. I would say almost all of the RE kids did it. And I think that first year we didn't have an RE director, so it became almost the major focus for what kids were doing. But there was still RE that met, and parents were running it. And then so we danced after church.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids? Oh, 10, 8, 9, 10, something like that.
What
And
does
you
And
what does RE stand for?
well, the general religious education, except in our
Oh,
church,
RE. Okay.
RE, our
Yeah.
church we call it religious exploration.
Yeah.
So anyway, right, RE, jargon in the church world.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. You were
and
the
yeah,
leader and the musician.
yes, I played and taught at the beginning, and a few years later, when Erica Roderick started dancing with us, Steve Roderick, her dad, started playing and teaching with me. So we did it jointly for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, were there other kids teams around in the Boston area?
Yeah, Banbury Cross was the other kids team, started by Beasley's. Um, Lynn. Yeah, of course, that has a Revels connection too, since at that point Lynn Beasley was the producer of Christmas Revels at Sanders Theater. I know you're not doing a Christmas Revels archive here, but
It's
anyway,
connected. It's all connected.
it's all connected.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same impulse. From the kids' point of view and from your point of view as well, how do they fit together?
Interesting. Well, our dancing, they all came out of Christmas Revels, which is not really a mainstream Morris dance event at all. Um, a fair number of Morris dancers um, shun the sort of staged kind of show that Christmas Revels is. They don't
Yeah.
like it, and they would refuse to participate. So they're pretty different, really. The main thing, the great thing for me about bringing kids to the ale was to expose them to Morris dancing, to real, I'll call it real Morris dancing, um, and as an adult activity, not just a kid's activity. Um, and there were other things we did that had that effect. Nefa and Lilac Sunday also exposed the kids to other groups and adult groups. But the ale was the biggest one and the most um, important one for getting the kids into the normal Morris dance world as they finally grew out of high school and were out in the world. I think a lot of them have gone on to Morris dance um, on teams. Some of them were Morris dancing on teams at the same time as they were on Great Meadows. Mostly Pinewoods Morris men, people like, well, quite a few. David Fleshman Rose, Peter, my son, and then um, Sam Overbeck and Hamish Swanson
Right.
and Ewan Swanson now have been on the Pine and Natty, are on the Pinewoods Morris men and danced on the Pinewoods Morris men in high school. For some reason, the girls didn't, join Muddy River or Halfpenny at that point.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I think Pinewoods and Newtown both actively recruited Great Meadows boys. So I don't know. There's a couple of things about the ale. So our first visit at the ale was before Great Meadows had started. We were just Hopbrook, and that team would have been Peter, maybe David Fleshman Rose, a few others, and we went to Hopbrook, went to ale as Hopbrook, and I was working with. There wasn't the committee then; it was Marlboro Morris and Sword running it, and it was. So when would that have been?
That would have been pre-1995 then.
Yeah. When did the ale start?
First one was 1976.
Yeah. So this was probably mid 80s or,
Okay.
I don't know. No, more like 1990, I would say. Peter was born in 81, so he was 10 or 11. So it was 91 or 92, I think, that Hopbrook went. And I mostly worked with Andy Horton now, and to figure out how to do it. So we came for just the day on Saturday. So we didn't camp out, or that avoided issues, all kinds of issues. But it was great. The kids came up and danced, made a big splash, had a good time. It was pretty important for them and for their parents. I mean, a lot of these things are a huge eye opener. A lot of Hopbrook kids don't come from our dance world. They come from lots of random places. And, when they get exposed to the kind of community that that's out there in which the Morris dancing is a part of, and of which the Marlboro Ale is a part of, they get blown away by it and fall in love with it. Some of them even start dancing.
Hmm.
And I know the Marlboro Ale has a big part of it. A bunch of my Great Meadows women, especially, joined Halfpenny. But they saw Morris dancing first, going as chaperones to the Marlboro Ale with Great Meadows.
Could it have been as late as 1997?
That the Hopbrook went?
Yeah. I'm
No,
looking at a table that we've tried to create of which teams were there when, and it's not complete yet, but
I know Peter was around 10 or 11, so
okay, so it's earlier than that. All right.
it's
So
earlier, yeah. Hopbrook might have gone a second time.
yeah, it looks like I have them maybe going in 97 and in 2002.
Yeah, that could be.
And then maybe the next year Great Meadows starts.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, yeah.
I mean, Velociraptor started in 99,
Okay.
and Velociraptor did go to Marlboro before Great Meadows. and then Great Meadows started going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great Meadows has gone
Oh,
almost every year.
Yeah.
so when Hopbrook arrived at the Marlboro Morris Ale, all of a sudden this adult occasion has children at it. And I know there are other events where the adults are not exactly welcoming of having that happen. But you said you had the support of the organizer, especially Andy. Um, how do you think that affected, the other people at the ale introducing a kids team there? Were you aware of anything?
Only positive things I heard. Of course, Saturday we just danced at the college and then Brattleboro and tour. So the kids weren't at, and then it was over. The dinner's on your own. So we all went out to dinner. Kids went home.
Right,
So it wasn't like having kids at the feast, little kids.
right.
Um, so that was, if there were going to be an issue, it might have been
Then,
them, that kind of thing. So it really wasn't. No, I think even back then, people saw that as the future of Morris dancing. So
yeah. And I love that it also served for the parents as sort of it must have been a sort of a grounding experience, seeing that this was not a unique, odd thing that just happened at their local church that their kids were into. There was a whole world
yeah,
that existed.
definitely an eye opener.
Yeah. And also for the kids to see that, there is a future. When I get older, I can be part of this, maybe.
Yeah,
The kids,
yeah, for sure.
that's awesome.
And I
Um,
think an interesting side note, you might say, um, that Great Meadows in the early years was pretty resistant to Morris dancing. I kind of made them do it. Um, they wanted to do rapper. Some of them refused to Morris dance. They would sit on the side. They would say their legs hurt or something. Um, Interestingly, the last 5 or 6 years, this has not been true, but I would say Great Meadows is equally into Morris as they are to rapper. But the ale was a great help to get them excited about Morris dancing and what it could be. Um, I remember especially that one of the years Great Western was there, and the kids just loved Great Western. Um, let's see, Vanessa was there dancing, so that would have been, 10 or 15 years ago. I think it was the first time Great Western came.
Okay.
Well, anyway, the kids loved them, and mutual. They were learning. Great Western taught them dances and on the
Oh,
side.
fun.
So the kids have interacted a lot with teams um, on the side of the events, especially the foreign teams. Also, when Gotland came, the kids interacted with the younger Gotland members.
what was the name of that team?
Gotland, the sword team.
Plowstots.
Plowstots, that's right.
Yeah.
The Plowstots.
Yeah, it's
No,
Goathland.
it wasn't a 100% successful Marlborough visit from the ale's point of view, but it was
Yeah.
good. It was successful for the kids, and we had a party with them after the ale in Cambridge
Fun.
that all the kids came to.
Great.
Well, they had some cute young men on the team, so that appealed to the girls on my team.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God. That is the world of
Folk
dance
dance.
music.
So you said they weren't interested in, some of them weren't interested in Morris dancing right away. Did Great Meadows begin originally as a set of rapper teams? Or was it rapper
it's
and Cotswold from the beginning?
it was rapper and Cotswold from the beginning.
Okay.
Um, it was started as a Morris and sword dance
Mm.
team with an emphasis on rapper. Um, and Velociraptor did a little bit of Morris and sword, longsword, actually.
Mm.
As did Hopbrook. But Hopbrook didn't do any rapper, so they just did longsword. And so Velociraptor was formed by Hopbrook graduates who wanted to keep dancing, namely David Fleshman Rose and a couple of his friends. Um, so they, so well, I decided that they should do rapper because that
Yeah,
was the obvious thing for teenage boys to do. So.
sure.
Can you explain the transition from you're talking about Hopbrook and then you're talking about Great Meadows as being a little later? Can you just sketch out for us Hopbrook, what they were doing, and when it became a Great Meadows?
Right. I mean, Hopbrook went through a a group of people with Lily's age, and then the next biggest group revolved around you know, David Fleshman Rose and Peter and his friends, and that was mostly boys. And,
Mhm.
and so they were about, David's like Fleshman Rose is 2 years younger than Lily, so it was all First Parish Church kids, nobody outside. So there was that active Morris dancing going on,
Okay.
um, and and then when David stopped, um, Velociraptor started really right away the next year, and Hopper kept going. So at that point, Hopbrook had, you know, Erica and Kristen, um, and then a couple of years later, let's see if I get the timeline right. Oh yeah, this is interesting. So, um, Velociraptor was going a few years, and really bonding. They went to the Sword Spectacular. They did a Revel show.
You were at
They did.
NEFA.
They were at NEFA. They did the Sword Ale a couple times in New York. They went to the Marlboro Ale. They were very active. And when they were seniors, um, Erica and Kristen and all were graduating from Hopbrook. And Velociraptor didn't want them. They did not want those kids joining Velociraptor. So, so this was Velociraptor's senior year, Peter's junior year, Erica and Kristen's freshman year, coming into their freshman year. I said to them, okay, I'm going to start another group. And we're going to meet at the same time as you do. And you can, keep meeting separately from us, or you can come join us, or a mixture. You're welcome to come. I would like it if you would come and do Morris with us, and then do Rapper as a separate team. That'd be fine. So they weren't all that happy about it, but so I did a big push to get this going. I advertised to Folk Arts Center, Country Dance Society, all the Morris teams, um, Revels, and I had a really good flyer and pitch. There wasn't social media then, but So we had Tim Radford was going to come and teach us Atterbury. So I made a big point about him being the founder of, and then Joe Kynock is going to come teach rapper from that team, Longwood. So I played up these experts who were going to come teach us. So I got 25 kids that first time.
Wow.
This was like, all those kids, Kristen and Kat Pixton and a ton of kids. And it was we just called it Senior Morris. We didn't have a name. And then after a couple years, well, Velociraptor only lasted one more year because they all graduated. And then Peter started dancing on Candy Wrapper, I think, and Jim Klemick. Anyway, what? Meanwhile, when Kristen and Eric and all those people graduated out, I had a pretty small group in Outbrook, and the religious education program was smaller, and I was down to like 3 or 4 kids. And we tried meeting for one spring, and then I decided to open the group up to the world outside the church. And so I recruited from Christmas revels, mostly, well, from everywhere I could. But Christmas revels at that year had a very strong children's group in the show. It was Sarah Johnson and Gemma and Lindsay Culberts and Albert Cults and a bunch. And they all, at Linda Johnson's organizing, they all decided to come to Hopbrook in the spring after revels to keep things going. So I got like 7 kids then. And so Hopbrook became a different thing, quite strong. And we were running 12 to 15 kids for quite a while. So that group went to Marlboro. Sarah and Lindsay and those kids did Marlboro. Stordale, that might have been the 2000 one. It wouldn't have been the 97 one must have been, like Erica and Kristen. And
Okay.
I think of these waves, kind of come,
Right. Yeah.
these that where it really
Yeah.
is clicking. Anyway, so they all then go on and to Great Meadows, and at that point, we were trying to think of a name for what Great Meadows was going to be, rather than Senior Morris, which is kind of weird now thinking of it, but it wasn't really the name; it was a placeholder. But so I finally said, well, Great Meadows, Morris and Sword. It's a little boring, but it's accurate. It doesn't seem boring now, but at the time, I said, if anyone has a better name, but if no one gets a better name, we're going to go with Great Meadows, Morris and Sword, GMMS. So we did, and it's great. And then the third year of GMMS, we formed teams. We split into teams, and we had Pocket Flyers and Candy Wrapper, I think Start. And at the height of it, we had 4. But anyway, from that point on, after the first 2 years or year and a half, we started meeting as teams. We actually still had a group that wasn't on a team for a while, but that didn't work too well.
Mm.
And running it as teams has pluses and minuses, but it's what we still do. And we do Morris all together. not as teams. That's sort of the
Right. The teams were
communal.
rapper. Right. The
The
teams were.
teams were rapper, and Great Meadows was. That's part of why they didn't want to do Morris, because they would start to bond with their teams,
Mm,
rapper teams, and they just wanted to do rapper. And
yeah.
I don't know. Not Morris dancing is much harder than rapper, especially for kids, because you're on your own in space,
Mm,
um, having to do full body movements
mm.
to music, having to look, having to have to look good. Very difficult. And then you got to stay in sync with other people through these invisible lines, Very
I
hard.
had not thought of that. Rapper is always thought is so complicated and the stepping and the movement, but you're right.
Oh,
Rapper, you're constantly connected and you're moving as a single body because you are connected.
yeah.
In
And,
Morris, they have
you're
eyes on
being,
all sides of your head.
I mean, we're doing rapper really well, of course,
Yeah.
is hard, but
Yeah.
a beginner can get dragged around and do rapper. You don't even have to step well. Plenty of teams have individuals that aren't stepping well at all.
Right.
You mostly need to be able to walk left, right on the beat.
Yeah.
And some people can't do that either. But anyway,
Right. But
rapper's easier for kids,
yeah.
um, more accessible.
So you mentioned that Hawkbrook had longsword
Yeah.
at one point, but you never got into longsword under the Great Meadows umbrella?
No, I tried.
Hmm.
They didn't. There probably wasn't time to do all three. Um, Velociraptor did Longsword quite a bit, performed at places, but Great Meadows, when I tried it a couple times at the beginning, they weren't interested. They wanted to do the rapper.
That's so interesting with the kids. It seems more dramatic, maybe. Um, I think they like to cuddle.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think I think they like how tight it is.
and
And it's
dangerous.
flashier. It's flashier.
Okay?
You get to
Oh,
get
for
out there and
sure.
look good. Yeah.
And a lot of Longsword that they might have seen can be slow and boring. Now,
Hmm.
we all know that. I mean, more teams now are doing fast, exciting Longsword, but there was a lot of slow, boring Longsword too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
so that's that progression.
Yeah.
Um, and then just Hopbrook had a really great group of kids. My last big wave was mostly kids from Ogon's camp. Um, kids like peer groups. All kids like peer groups, but especially, 10, 11, 12 year olds. Um, so you really have to get these peer groups. But that Ogon's group was really, really good. It was, Swanson's. It was Hamish and Ewan, and then the
Right.
Sheldons, Theo and Sparrow, and then
Oh,
Carly Wall and Francis, and I mean they were they were all going to Ogon's, and so I had like 8 kids right off the bat from that, and then
Great.
a few others. So, and a bunch of them went on to Great Meadows, and they're my core at Great Meadows now. But Hotbrook ended up with almost nothing when they left, and they left during COVID, and I couldn't get Hotbrook going during COVID. It was impossible to recruit new dancers.
Yeah.
Whereas Great Meadows, because I had that strong group was just going into Great Meadows. Great Meadows kept meeting. I mean, we missed one fall, but in the spring we started meeting outdoors, and we did distant Morris, and we did waltz clog, and
Oh,
um,
smart.
we didn't do any rapper. So,
Yeah.
Wow. So that would have been like 21,
yeah.
spring of
And
21 then.
then we started meeting indoors again. But so that sort of built up the Morris dancing with that group too. It was a big hit for the rapper. So Great Meadows is struggling to, so the beginning of 22, we only had 8 dancers. So luckily we were asked to do revels. Um, I mean, you can see this theme here, right? But I'm an opportunist, right? I take opportunities and go with them and promote to them. So whether it's homeschoolers or my church or the dance camps or revels or Kids of Morris teams or whatever, right?
Yep.
And of course, I try to get the kids to bring friends, and that works some.
Yep.
But anyway, revels. So these 8 kids. So we're not dancing as a team anymore. We're just doing Great Meadows Rapper. We work on one dance that Peter choreographed, and we did that dance in Revel. So all 8 kids scheduled their time in the Revel shows, and it really kept the team together. They all loved it, of course, and so then we made a big push to recruit from that. We
Right.
we had a full page ad in the Revels program. We did a workshop in January, which we advertised social media stuff, and what else? Yeah, right. For both Hopbrook and Great Meadows. And
Is Peter helping you run the team in
yeah,
the
yeah.
years at this point?
Peter is.
When did
I
that
s
start? When did he come on board?
So it was first. Erica Roderick has been helping me do it for quite a long time.
Oh,
I have,
okay. Okay.
I have
But
to
yeah,
step away for a moment. I'll be right
okay.
back.
Okay, Pat, can you mute? Great. Okay.
Yeah, Erica started helping. It's interesting. Tom Pixton, whose daughter was Catherine,
Yeah.
was in the very first group. He came back for some reason. He offered to come and play.
Hmm.
After later on, it was like 15 years ago. So he's come and played, which frees me up.
Great. Yeah.
And then about the same time, 15 years ago, Erica Roderick, after she graduated from college, started coming to help me do it. So she and I have been doing it. And then Peter, after grad school, about 7 years ago, has started helping. So Peter and Erica and I and Tom Pixton have all been doing it, which is great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah.
And now, of course, with Erica had Pippa, her daughter,
Yeah.
she has not stopped but cut down to close to 0.
Right.
So
Right.
Peter's been doing most of it with me.
Yeah.
So they run the dancing. I do the organizing. I do the mailing list and communicate with the AL, and
Right. Right.
I do the organizing
Administrative.
and most of the communications, and I do snack, a big part of the evening. We have a major snack, French
Nice.
fries and
Oh,
all kinds of. We have a really good snack.
excellent.
Food's important, and
Food is important with anybody,
yeah,
but especially with teens. Yeah.
yes, and now this year Sam Overbeck has started helping.
No
So
kidding. Great.
so these are all
Great.
Great Meadows and Hopbrook graduates, all of them, who have kept dancing, all who were leaders on their teams in
Mhm.
Great Meadows. Because in Great Meadows, it's critical to me that they run the groups. That's always been part of it, an important part of it. So, I mean, Sam, when he started on Dapper Rapper as a little boy, it was being run by Katrina Skidmore at that point, who was a difficult person to run a team. But she changed the name from Candy Rapper to Dapper Rapper because she didn't think they were good enough. Because the previous Dapper Rapper, Candy Rapper, had her brother on it, Greg. And Greg was on that team run by Adam Cole Mullen. It's the Adam Candy Rapper that was run by a fanatic dictator and they practiced all the time and went to England and won, the only Great Meadows team to win at Dirt, their division. And I played for them. They were good. But anyway, so Katrina didn't want to be a Candy Rapper and compete with her brother. So she renamed the team to Dapper Rapper. Sam grew up in that, became the leader of Dapper Rapper. And it was an incredible, growth experience for him. He was a very quiet, shy, somewhat shy kid. Fabulous dancer, always. Never went through that awkward teenage phase. He was just always a beautiful dancer. You remember him at the Ale doing that jig?
Yes.
It was on when Hot
I
Brook
went up
was
and
there.
spoke to him afterward about how
Yeah.
gorgeous his dancing was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, his father pushed him and put him forward, but he didn't rebel against that. He liked it. He took it the right way for somehow. And he started dancing on Pinewoods Morris Men at that same age.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I'm just thinking, I'm rambling a little bit. It's how the Ale comes back into that. And that's, Hopper at the Ale, and then Sam doing that jig and, getting called out at the evening dance. And I don't know, do you remember Greg Skidmore's Candy Rapper at the Ale skit, doing the rapper with kilts and bare-chested to the bagpipe at the skits?
I didn't see that.
Do you remember that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, the Ale has been this. They really embraced all parts of it. The skits, the interacting with the other people, even the drinking sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so important for them to have that opportunity. That was you don't remember that, Pat, do you either? That was a dramatic skit.
It. Oh my God.
Skilts, bare-chested, dancing to a bagpipe.
We might have to put out a call to see if anyone has photographs or video. That seems like
for any of the skits. Those would be great to collect.
Well, and Sam and Hamish did their two-person rapper at the skits at the Ale. That was really good. Anyway, where was I? Back at Great Meadows. Oh, I was just recovering. Oh, COVID recovery. So Sam is now, and that recruitment at the Rebel Show, we got 6 new dancers from that. So now we're up to 15. So we have 2 teams, Pocket Flyers and Dapper Rapper. But we're going to England, to Dirt, and Sam is going to go and coach the Dapper Rapper team, which is a combination, 3 Dapper Rappers and 2 Pocket Flyers. And then Dapper Rapper is going to go dance the other Pocket Flyers. Anyway, it's pretty cool to see. I guess I would hope if I stopped, I'm not going to stop, but if I died or something, I think there's a chance it could keep going, actually. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. I do a lot of work for it, but they're all capable of organizing, those people.
Well,
Well,
it
the
sounds
other
like you've
one,
always
yeah,
encouraged them in that direction anyway, too, to be
yeah,
running their own teams and meeting and setting their agendas and yeah.
exactly, yeah. They get to do the fun part, you know. Yeah, no, that's yeah,
That's it. And they also, part of that group have also expanded into working on crew at Pinewoods Camp.
Mhm.
right. That's another big
A
source
whole,
of kids for display
right,
dance. I mean,
right, from family weeks. But it also expands their universe as well.
yeah, yeah. I
So
mean that. Oh, yeah.
I want to ask a question that maybe steps away from a focus exclusively on your role around supporting kids teams, which is just looking at how the ale has evolved over the years, because you've been there, you yourself as a musician and dancer, since, would I be right in saying the very first one, or at least some of the very early ones?
Not the first couple. I think it's
70,
70. I think 70. When was the first one again? Remind me.
76.
Oh,
I know I've seen you in some really early pictures, but I'm not sure how early. So,
yeah. I think I had stopped dancing on the Jokers at that point,
hmm,
and Pinewood's first ale I didn't go to. So it might have been 79 or something. I did my first one.
okay. Okay.
I don't know why.
So anyway, you've had a good 45 years of history
Yeah,
with Yale.
I haven't missed. I don't think I've missed any that happened
Yeah. Yeah.
since that. So
Wow. And you have been both a dancer and a musician and a team organizer and chaperone. And so you've seen it from a whole bunch of different perspectives. And
yeah.
if you look back across 45 years, what stands out for you as major shifts in the evolution of the ale over time?
Um, I would say a slow drift towards diversity, inclusion, and equality, right? DEI. Slow and steady shift is
Mhm.
a major. A shift from arrogance, male arrogance, and competition and um, um, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
to inclusion, appreciation of all people and levels. Not there 100%, of course, and never will be. But I don't know. That's
Okay.
I guess not that that wasn't there at the beginning. I'm not. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think even from the beginning, the ale was an opportunity for teams from all over the place to come and and see the Morris scene in
Mhm.
a international framework, see what was happening, set the standard for American Morris. That
Mhm.
was that was, I think, the biggest contribution of the ale
Mhm.
from the start, and that is still there.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, all the things I don't like about the ale have not taken away from that part.
Do you feel comfortable talking about any of those things?
That I didn't like? Oh, I
Yeah.
think I probably did in the first half, right? Didn't I talk about things I don't like about the ale? About
May
the
have.
dancing for other Morris dancers all the time, and or I would
Yes.
say the things I really love about Morris and dancing on a Morris team don't exist much at the Ale, but they have to do with dancing for the public with my team, being the Pinewoods Morris team men out in public and relating to our audience who we're dancing for. And that's, and we build up this rapport with the audience. That almost never happens at the Ale. It's, the Ale is more competitive, is more of, still more competitive in the sense that you're being looked at by other Morris dancers. You're being judged. You know, an Albemarle danced there last year. Everyone's thinking how old they are, they can't dance. And, you know, they weren't thinking about how nice it is to see they're still dancing. And they're not thinking about they must have fun going out and dancing in their community. The important things. So those are the things I don't like about the Ale. The Ale doesn't, but you know, that's not the function of the Ale, I guess. That isn't the function of the Ale. And the Ale has succeeded at its function and still does to promote, you know, American Morris and bring English teams over. And maybe it could do more of that off season. I think they have a huge committee that doesn't seem it should be necessary to have all that work to organize this one event. I mean, I don't know. I've organized lots of events without that much falderall. So
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
But and I don't know, I know there's nothing to do about it, but it's a shame we can't get some better venues. Or I don't know what it is. The attendance at the mass stands has just drifted smaller and smaller. I mean, Newfane used to be huge, and it seems like it's smaller every year. Why is that?
They don't have you, Tom.
It's got to be something to do with publicity. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know. Well, it's hard. It's a new world we're in, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of course, the New York Sword Ale, I could make exactly the same criticisms of.
Interesting. Yeah.
Although the places that we dance in, those libraries and stuff, they actually do get some people that come.
Right.
So maybe I wouldn't. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
this is interesting because almost to a person, as we have interviewed folks from England, some of whom now live here and have danced on English Morris teams and American Morris teams, all kind of scratch their heads a bit about why are we dancing in these locations where there are almost no people to watch? Like what? So they're all kind of, I think they're accustomed to a different kind of venue too. And there's,
Yeah. And meanwhile,
of our dancing.
there are all these, what are they called? These big sales where people are selling stuff, Memorial Day weekend, there are these huge events. They're not yard sales, what are they called? They're called,
Flea markets?
yes, flea markets, with thousands of people. I mean, why are we dancing there? Do they not let us? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, why are we dancing at beautiful scenic places where nobody is?
Yeah.
Because that's someone's idea it's an old-fashioned idea of what Morris dancing is. Dancing in a bucolic place with nature. We're performing for nature rather than for people.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or at rich people's houses. That's the other place we should go we should go where people are. There must be people somewhere that's why Pinewoods Morris Band Daffodil Weekend is so great. There's tens of thousands of people there. We can dance anywhere and draw a crowd of 50, 60 people.
Where
And we
is
do.
this? Where did you say?
Daffodil Weekend on Nantucket, which is our
Okay,
pivotal event of the year.
right.
And anyway, so Marlboro Ale should be that kind of thing for all those teams. They should be dancing where people are.
Mm.
I guess downtown Brattleboro, there's a little of that, but what about those flea markets? I don't know.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, some of the stops are that way. So they've got some. The duck race in Wilmington always has people. And what's the other one I've done? Oh, the pizza place that's up on the highway that does beer for you now.
Oh, Hogsback Mountain, right at the
Yeah,
top.
they
Yeah,
they have a pretty good crowd there every time we've been
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess they try some, but I would can all the scenic places.
Hmm.
Um,
Get some people.
what about
Don't get
the
the feed.
diversity shift? Have other people thought that's true? I mean, about allowing women to dance, and I think I talked to you before about the first time Grant Meadows came. We weren't allowed to have mixed teams do Morris
Yes.
for the
Yeah,
show dances,
yeah.
and that lasted about 1 year. But um, but now, of course, mixed teams are allowed to come,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? So I mean, Taniel and Thames, not to mention, of course, Orion and sword dance teams.
Right,
Right.
So
right,
Right.
and
Yeah. I think of the ale as a social system, that and a big system like that is hard to change, but every system also needs people nudging it,
Hmm.
you know, taking taking steps outside the norm in order for it to continue to live, actually. So, thank you, Tom.
yep. Yeah, well, I think the Marlboro has been one of the most important things to keep both my groups interested in Morris dancing, seeing Morris dancing, and being able to perform rapper too, of course. And there's a couple others, certainly Revels, which is though inconsistent. Um, things like Neffa and the Swordale, but I think I mean the Marlboro is probably the biggest one for them as far as they love to all go camp out in tents, and it's
Right.
very bonding to go for a weekend like that
Yeah.
for them. And it's probably the biggest of those kind of things.
But it's also great to have a goal as a team, you know,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
practice and yeah, super fun. Um, I've run out of questions. How about you, Susan? Anything else you would like to say, Tom, about the ale, your history there, or your kids' team's history there that you've been dying to say?
Probably not. No, I've probably said it all. Let's see.
Let me see.
Oh, all right. I have one last question.
Okay.
I asked you the fact you've been an avid dancer. You've been a musician supporting multiple teams, and you've been a team organizer and kind of head person. Um, do you personally have a favorite way of being at the ale? Is it one or the other of those? Is it getting to do all of them? How do you most enjoy being at the ale?
Let's see. Wow. Huh. Well, whenever Great Meadows goes, I stick with them the whole time. I don't participate with my other teams. And Peter and Erica and Sam do go off and dance with their teams. So I think for me, I like that particularly about the bonding with Great Meadows in lots of different ways. I enjoy. I enjoy going around with them and the show dances, and we all got to dinner at the Panda North every time, Great
Oh,
Meadows.
yeah.
We have our dinner, and so I think the Elb is a real bonding experience for me and the kids. Um, whether I need that or not, maybe not, but it is. The other parts of the L I think that I like are, the same as ever. I like to see what's going on, and it was great. It was great to get to play with Jim Morrison some at the last
Oh, yeah.
AL, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing is always can be an opportunity, but
Right. Connect with people.
consistent, yeah. Seeing the Great Meadows kids Morris dance with, just the other year, Ben Crispin taught that jig Friday night outside, and the kids were out there just loving learning it, and I just loved to see that. I loved it.
Yep.
That kind of thing is really a spiritual highlight for me to see. It really gets me. Still, even
Yeah.
now.
It's a labor
Even
of
now.
love. Yep.
Yeah, well, it gives back to me as much as I give. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
It does.
Yeah, for sure. And not just I get lots of thanks, an embarrassing amount of thanks, which I deserve actually, but more important is a good feeling I get doing it. Actually, I like the thanks, but
Yeah.
it's how it feels to me is actually the main reason I do it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All
Cool.
right.
So I'm lucky to have the opportunity, because not everybody does.
Yeah.
But
A lot of what you've said today are names, a lot of names, and I think we're going to have to send you a transcript so that you can fill in,
yeah,
just make sure the spelling is right and put in some last names
yep.
so that we can have a better record. I tried to put it down, but it was hopeless.
When I had my lifetime achievement award,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
a contribution award,
Mm-hmm.
Deborah and I tried to put together a list of all the kids that have danced with me, and I should try to update it before I forget.
That would be a great thing to include in
It
the
might be.
archive here if you have it.
Yeah, because they've almost all gone to the Ale.
Yeah, right.
Right. Well, ask some of the kids. They've got younger brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that'll help.
Well, that would be great. Put that together. I would love a copy.
Looking back at old emails and old spreadsheets of rosters.
Mm-hmm.
I've got rosters from all those years, actually. So
That would
still
be
on my computer. So
Yeah.
That'd be a great thing to add to the archive.
Absolutely.
It would be actually.
Those names. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we won't thank
Good.
you. No,
Good.
I
Thanks.
guess we can thank you.
Okay.
Because you do like to be thanked.
Who doesn't like to? Who can be thanked too much?
Yeah.
It does annoy. It can annoy Deborah sometimes, but
I bet.
Because she works in the background, I'm sure.
I could definitely not have done any of this without her help. She has helped me and supported me from the very beginning.
I'm not surprised.
Well, pass on our thanks to Deborah.
I will. Well, I did call her out when I got my award. I made her come up on stage with me.
That's
so,
right.
But people do forget still. Anyway.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for doing this. This is This is good work.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I feel like we're the only ones that have been able to hear all of the interviews that have happened so far, but we are at the 50th gonna encourage everybody strongly to dig into the website that's going to be created and listen to the interviews, because as a collection, they are just an amazing portrait of 50 years and people's experiences and different perspectives on different things and
Right.
what percolates up that's the same across many of the conversations and what's different.
Yeah.
And the ale mean is so important to so many people, and for a lot of the same reasons, but for each person, it's a particular aspect about the ale that's most meaningful to them. So kind of hearing all those different ways that it reaches out and touches people is really, really
Yeah.
fascinating.
And we've tried to um, have kind of a wide cross section of the kinds of people who we're talking to. So, yeah, for some people, it's totally different experience than the one right next to them standing there at the ale, you know?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I assume you interviewed a bunch of the Brits and other foreigners.
Yes, Rhett has been encouraging us to get out there and interview as many of the English teams that came as we can. And so far, we've talked to Beth Neal from Windsor. We talked to Crispin about his experience on Great Western, as well as dancing here on this side of the
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Y'all
We
have a
talked
good
to
perspective.
Charlie Day about his time on Jorix.
Tim,
Tim Radford, yeah, we've talked to Tim about coming with Kirtlington, and I think Atterbury came also. And
and this coming ale, there are 2 English teams coming.
yeah, Windsor's coming back and Berkshire Bedlams are coming back. So we're going to grab
Great.
both of them and interview them while they're here. So, yeah.
Did you do Keith Thompson
No,
with Gotland?
I'm a little afraid to, but we
That would
probably
be
should.
You should.
We
He
should.
had extremely vocal, strong opinions,
I think they did not have a happy time at the ale.
and they did not have a happy time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that should be in the archive, but it
Well,
should, I
yeah,
think.
it's part of the story. Yep.
I think, yeah, I think it is. I think that
Sure.
it was, and the funny thing is, other than Keith, I wonder if Keith would recognize that some of the people that came with him liked the ale and had a good time.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and if maybe you could talk to one of them too. If
Right.
anyway,
Right.
especially the younger ones. But there's that other guy. What's his name? Longtime member. Anyway, let me get his name for you.
Okay.
He is much more easygoing, and Keith is just
Less somebody.
a short guy, but fairly old. He's been on the team a long time.
Oh, okay.
A round face.
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
He might give you a better interview, more balanced,
Yeah.
because he would know what Keith felt.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what Keith felt.
Yeah.
Totally. Because he's very vocal about it.
Right.
And he probably hasn't changed his mind.
Right. Right.
Anyway, good. Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thanks.
you so
Thanks.
much.
Thank you, Tom. Say hi to Deborah.
Bye-bye. I'll do it.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
Right.
thanks
Bye.
for spending time with us.
All right, Pat, I'm going to end this meeting so that the recording registers and then we can get back on.
Okay.